Wow, way better role. Way better.
Like, love it. I'm like, ready?
Okay. This is Haley. And this is Bailey. And you're listening to Text Me When You Land.
Bailey is very spicy today.
I've had a that's the best way to describe it. Annoying day. I went on a 4 mile walk. I feel better.
Wow.
A little feisty.
A 4-mile walk?
Just a little.
I feel like that's really far. I don't know.
It wasn't
why.
that far. No, it's not that far. No, it's the loop
Especially
by
with
my
where
house
you live.
twice.
You live in such a scenic area. It's like, I'm sure that goes by quicker because there's things to like look at.
We're gonna go on a walk after this, and we're gonna be all better, you know. Yeah. But
All
let's be
better.
honest, we all have hard days, and we're actually gonna talk about that today with social media. And I feel like social media can make everything look perfect, and I feel like it's just not always. How are you doing, Haley?
Well,
Let's start it off on a good note. While I'm
I'm
really
good.
just
I'm
having the day.
stressed too. It's all good. I'm not stressed in the ways you're stressed, but I leave town tomorrow, and so I was gonna YouTube today, and then I realized I'm like, YouTubing the day before you leave is just a horrible idea. So I was like, let's just not, because I also had to film for an ad, and so on top of that with YouTubing and then packing, and it was just, there was too much.
I feel this. I feel like this is coming for me. I was actually thinking about this on my drive home, and I was like, wow, today just didn't go as planned, obviously, you know that. But then I was like, wait, I have to film like multiple things, and I haven't packed, and I leave on Saturday. I was like, we're not going to think about that today. That's tomorrow thing, because it does get so overwhelming. It sounds silly unless you like do this as your job, I feel like, but it is a lot. There's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes than you see if you're not doing this like as your job.
It's true, and it's just, it gets very overwhelming. So I see so many younger generation. I talk like I'm like so old and wise. Like, freak, I'm a millennial. But I see a lot of like high schoolers talking about how they want to be a content creator or an influencer. And like, people will say, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And oh, I want to be an influencer. And like, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's great. Like, it's very saturated right now, so heads up. But I'm like, what is their, like, what do they see it as? Because when you're not in the industry and you're not doing that stuff, you see that, oh, they get free stuff all the time and they get paid to post on social media and travel. And like, is that the world they see? Or do they see what we actually do? Because it's definitely not just that.
I feel like it's so different too, depending on who you're looking at. And I feel like there are those people that have like millions of followers, they don't really post. And, it's different than when you're starting out for sure. And I feel like every phase throughout social media is so different. And, like when you have couple million followers, you're dealing with a very different thing maybe than what we're dealing with. You're dealing with a lot more hate, a lot more judgment, a lot more, mentally. I think you're dealing with a lot of different things. Not that we're not dealing with that, but at a very different capacity and different level when you're that big. But I feel like there's so much that people don't see that goes on behind the scenes, like just filming, like you said at the beginning of this, like filming a YouTube. Sounds easy, right? When you don't do it. But then it's like just like me when I do my mini vlogs. Sounds easy, looks easy. To make sure you get it all for it to make sense and then put it on a video is put it together in a video, it's a lot more. And then on top of that, you're not just editing, putting yourself out there, like one, being confident in yourself to put it out there. There's so much that goes, if you actually want this to be a job and be able to make money, there's a whole nother side of this that doesn't even, like that's one thing. But then being able to, if you're not like, you don't have a manager, but you're managing yourself and doing all that, that's a whole nother thing. Like talking to brands, getting on meetings, negotiating, reading contracts, like we could go on, but there's a lot of different things in this world. It's not just black and white.
Yeah. Well, and I see a lot of people don't do influencing full time. They'll do it as like a side job. They'll have like a
I
full
get it.
time job, and then they'll have, because it's very inconsistent and it doesn't bring, like, you'll have good months and good seasons, and then you can go a long time without getting paid or having any traction on ads.
And how hard is it when it's, oh, everything's based on views and likes and this and that, and things are fluctuating, and then
Yes.
your worth starts to be tied to that. I feel like that's something we both have really struggled with, is not tying our worth to our work.
That is something I've really had to take a pivot in lately, because I've, like, found what I like posting, and I found that sometimes what I like posting doesn't do as well, and so I'm like, "That
But
stinks,"
that
but it's like
but it
and then it
takes
makes me be
time.
like, "Oh, is that actually good enough?" Like, and I'm like, "No, that's good." Like, you just gotta kinda keep pushing through, like,
You
it's not
You gotta be consistent there for sure. Because remember last year when I was like, "I wanna start posting more of what I like," and it took me time to start getting traction on the videos that I liked posting versus what went viral, but I feel like it actually ended up benefiting me better with, like, brand deals and stuff, staying consistent and pushing through that and posting the stuff I like versus just posting what I thought people wanted to see or what did well.
exactly, and that's what a lot of people, I think, are starting to realize because I've seen several influencers post recently, like, "What am I doing wrong?" Like, "I'm losing followers," or "I'm not getting as many views as I used to," and like you were saying, well, they also probably just went viral, and when you go viral, it's exciting, yeah, it's cool, but there's a huge, like it's like a giant roller coaster where you shoot up really fast and then there's like a plummet majority of the time because you gain all these followers and then all of a sudden when you start posting again they'll start dropping like flies. It's crazy the difference, and then your views might not be as great because your viral reel helped all your other content do well, and so it's just interesting to see how people react to that kind of stuff. And when you're not used to that kind of emotional whiplash, it really you feel like you're doing something wrong.
And then you feel like you have to post that stuff that went viral, but you don't really like creating that stuff, and that's not really the I feel like you see so many people posting this stuff just for it to go viral, but then it's not attracting the right audience. And then
Yeah,
you start posting what you like, and then it doesn't do well. And it's this vicious circle of,
it
oh,
it
that did
really
really well,
is.
get traction. Let me post what I like. It's going down and start over. And it's confusing because you're putting yourself out there, and then you feel like you said, what am I doing wrong? But you're not doing anything wrong. And I always say, like, share what you love and create what you love. Everyone says niche down, like, pick one thing, but in my opinion, like, my life is not one thing. So,
I was gonna
I
say,
wanna
yeah,
share.
okay. I mean, it's
Yeah,
one thing to share, like, if you like car stuff, but then also then posting, like, financial tips, like, they're
if
you
you
don't wanna be
have
too
one thing.
diverse, but,
Yeah,
like, your life, if you're sharing your life, then that's I think that's
yeah,
totally fine.
and I think it's good to, like, pick a few things that you wanna share and, like, be able to stay consistent because that does help and that does grow your audience. But if you niche down too much and then don't wanna share that forever, then you get like me and you, we started as dog accounts, and we loved that, but transitioning out of that, even though we still shared a little, was a big shift, and that was really hard. And I think you have to remember that if you go into sharing it, like, if you have a business, yeah, you should be very specific on what you're sharing because that's a very niche thing and
Yeah,
you're
if you're,
only
like,
sharing your
selling
business.
something or you
Yeah.
have, like, a specific thing you're going for.
Yeah. But there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that, like, I feel like even sometimes when I'm like, "Oh, I do, like, content creation," or whatever, I don't even know what word I throw, like, I feel like there's so many different words of what we are
I
called,
think for
like, we're an
what
influencer,
you're really I've seen you're more influencer.
influencer, content
You're
creator, I
too
feel like there's
successful to be a content creator.
Well, thank you. But
You're
I
welcome.
don't I feel like I just depending on who I'm talking to, I just throw different I'm like, "I do social media. Oh, I do influencing." But, like,
I realize
I
what I just said could totally come across as a slam to content creators, but it's not. You just get a lot of good brand deals and you share a lot of like PR hauls, and that's more influencing, I think, than it is
then
content creating.
I think
Which
content creating is doing your UGC, which I also do, but I feel like it's maybe
yes.
that's the difference, I feel like, right?
It's more
Like, even
behind the scenes stuff than in your face.
Yeah, yeah. But it
It's
is
confusing.
I mean, also it's confusing and everybody uses it so interchangeably, I feel like, even though some people obviously use it very specifically, but then you see it thrown around
It's
in so
true.
many
I mean,
different
I even
ways.
use it interchangeably sometimes, but it's in the end, you're on social media and you're creating content, whether you're posting it or a business is posting it, it's still content that's being created by you. So,
Yeah, I mean, I just think there's so much more, and, like, that's when we were, like, talking about topics, I was like, I think this is such an interesting topic because, 1, everybody's world is really different that's in this, like, everybody does it super different. Some people do everything on their own. Some people are with management companies. Some people, like, some people just hire and have people help them, like, there's so many different ways to do it, and I think when you're in this world, you're like, "Am I doing this right?" But then you realize everybody's doing it different and everybody's figuring out as they go. So if like a group works with a management company, they all do it that way maybe, but this group does it this way and I don't there's so much to learn in the world and that's what I actually really love about it. but it's also like there's a lot of work that goes into it
Mhm.
that you
It's
don't
true.
realize.
I I feel like if stepping back and looking at from when I first started to now, what has been probably the hardest thing to overcome as an influencer, I'd probably say this comes and goes in waves. It really just depends on what I'm doing. But I think the fear of filming in public, that can get really intimidating, especially like for example, like an airport. Like I used to be really nervous to film in an airport, but now it's easy to me and I just like whatever. But like if I was in, I don't know, grocery store, somewhere more like small and intimate where people do pay attention and you can get in people's way more easily, like that's harder. But I don't know. What are your experiences with filming in public?
I mean, the thing is you definitely get judgment and it is hard, and I feel like something I always say to myself, and this is like my own thing that just helped me get through, is like when somebody I see somebody give a judgy look. Like I've been at an airport and I had Evan filming something and I saw like a girl give me the rudest look. And in my head, I was like, I looked at Evan actually and I was like, I'm able to travel because I do this. Like, I was like, and it wasn't to her, but like to me, that's what like, okay, power through. Because like, yeah, I don't do it where it's like, I definitely don't try and like make it a scene because I feel like that's not, but like, I was literally standing like super low key. It was like a very, I had my passport
You
and I
weren't
walked
doing
up to
anything
Evan.
wrong. Yeah.
No, and but I have to remind myself because if I don't, I definitely, like, get awkward and frustrated, and I feel like it affects me, and then you can see it in the video, so it is definitely hard to film in public, but I feel like over time, you definitely get better at it too.
Yeah, you get used to it. And I think that over time with getting used to filming in public, you also learn how to like kind of cope and coach yourself and walk yourself through that stuff. Like I'm never going to see these people again and that kind of stuff. But and then also so second thing I also realized with influencing is how much work goes on behind the scenes of like editing. Like editing takes long compared to what I think it looks like. Like these 7, 13, 15 to 30-second reels that we make and videos or pictures even, it's like, wow, that took me an hour to edit a 7-second video or something like that. It's just it's crazy how quickly it expires in people's feeds for how much work is put into it. And I know a lot of people actually get pretty frustrated about that.
For sure. I saw this one girl and she makes vlogs and they're like probably a minute maybe. But I remember she like broke down how long it took her and I was like, "Wow, like glad and like I don't know, but like I know it takes me a while to edit vlogs and it was like an hour for this, an hour for that." Like it took her like I think 3 hours or something, like, put it up, like, do that like, there's so many steps to it, like, for me, when I do my vlogs, it's film the vlog, so whatever that takes, maybe 20, 30 minutes, trim it down, then put it in one app, then put it in another, then find a song, like, it sounds like, "Okay, that's easy," but then you start to do it, and it takes a lot of time, and, like, we put a lot of work into it for it to be high quality content. I feel like something also in social media, and this has been something I really had to work on. I don't know, tell me what you think too, but for me was finding a balance with being present and filming what I want to share.
Oh, especially when you have multiple platforms you're filming for, like for example, YouTube and Instagram, when you want to get an experience on the same thing at once, having to go from horizontal filming, vertical filming, being present, horizontal, vertical, being present. Like you really have to figure out, like you said, like you have to pick specific moments you want to get m like, recorded. Otherwise, you're gonna miss an entire experience altogether. You're gonna look back and be like, "Wow, I lived that whole entire day through my phone or through my
Yeah.
camera," or whatever
And
it
it
is.
finding that balance, like, I feel like something I found is, like, on trips, like, I'll take some content and, like, I've been trying to find my happy medium with, like, travel, take content, but also, like, I'm very, very big on being present, so then I'll be like, "Oh, I didn't shoot what I wanted." So, I for Bali, I actually, like, sat down because 'cause I'd saved a bunch of stuff, and I made, like, a list of what I wanna get and where, so I'm not trying to feeling like I have to film everything or get everything because at the end of the day, do I have to get this stuff? No. But when you're doing this for a job, you do have to continue to share, and that is part of it. And I do have a few brand deals I'm actually doing while, like, like I'm traveling and stuff like that that need to get done and need to be done well. And there's different things like that where I feel like if I didn't plan, I would probably be overthinking it and be like, "Oh, I need to get every moment," where that's not the case. You can really I feel like over time I've gotten better at just getting those moments that I need and then being able to, like, put I almost literally, like, would just put my phone away and not even I'd
That's
just
smart.
be
Sometimes you
present.
literally have to just, okay, I can't. Like, for example, like I realized like I really wanted to YouTube today, but I thought I can't. I have too much to do. And you know what? My mental sanity is a little bit more important to me than getting this day captured on YouTube. And I was like, well, I'll figure it out. There'll be other opportunities. But like when you're traveling, there may not be other opportunities to redo that. And sometimes experiencing a moment can be more important than capturing it, and it just gives you a reason to go back, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I have a question. I mean, not a question. This is a vulnerable, I feel like, topic, but how many no's you get in this world to like how many no's in like brand deals versus yeses? I feel like that's something that people don't understand. Like if you're
Oh,
doing brand deals,
and they
like
also need to, yeah.
how many no's and how mean people can be about brand deals, and then how many amazing brands there are out there that really are great to work with, but it's connecting with the right people. Because I feel like how much you're put down, and maybe that's not everyone, but I mean, I've talked to a lot of people in a lot of different fields in like the influencing world, like, fashion and this and that. They're like, "Oh my gosh, like all I'm getting right now is no's." Or, "Oh my gosh, like I'm getting so many yeses right now." But how strong you have to be to power through when things are no, 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 no.
It's
Like,
hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's
nah,
hard.
like,
I'll keep emphasizing it's hard. And at a certain point, when you get so much rejection, you start to be like, "Is this even worth it? Like, where is this coming from? Should I lower my rates? Should I lower
and
my
when everyone's doing it for
expectations?"
free, when people are doing it for free,
Yes,
like, I get so heated about this because they're like, "Well, this person did it for this price." It's like, "No," and signed all their rights away forever. I will never, ever sign all my rights away forever. Like, if a brand can't have that conversation with me, then there's an issue with the brand. Like, I'm I'm very big on a relationship with a brand. If they can't have that conversation to find a happy medium, then I don't even wanna do it. But, like, they're like, "Well, this person did this and that person did it," and it's like those people are ruining it for people that aren't able just to do stuff for free. My dad actually, like, he's seen, like, a lot of like, I talked to him a lot about what I'm doing and all this stuff. He's like, "I've never seen a world where people are, like, 1, just, like, throw these, like, really low numbers and then, like, you can get them up." Like, a lot of times, like, yeah, you can get them up, but also that it's, like, they try and negotiate for pennies and they miss meetings and, like, there's so many people that are it's just shocking because you do find those really great brands, but you have to go through those hard things to find those good brands.
it's true. And you have to also, yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say. You have to go and experiencing that rejection to figure out a what kind of pitches pitches do and don't work. It sounded weird. um, but and then figuring out where you want to target your energy into on what kind of companies. Like you could get a good deal with a big company, but you'll find maybe you get a better deal with a smaller company, and finding those right ones definitely take fine tuning. And here I've also realized people don't pitch enough companies, I don't think.
I
Like,
also
I was
think
only
we have
doing,
higher
like, maybe
standards.
really? You think
That's
so?
no, no, no. I
Is that
think we have higher standards for brands. We don't just say yes to anybody and for anything, but keep
Oh,
going. That's what I
yes.
was
Yeah.
saying.
I definitely, and that's hard because I've definitely gotten offers from brands and I'm just like, "I'm sorry, I cannot
I'm not gonna
confidently talk
no,
about this on my platform when I
don't
obviously,"
believe in
like, for
it.
example, kibble. This is a
Yeah.
dog thing. Like when we were sharing more dog stuff, I would always get kibble companies reaching out to me, which I very clearly do not feed my dog kibble. I feed her raw. And so it's like I could say yeah, happily, and my dog would happily probably eat it. I mean, she'll eat just about anything. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to self-sacrifice something that I believe in. And a lot of I see influencers will just say yes to anything. And I yeah, and you'll see that, and the reason I say that is like you can't actually know if they're selling their soul or not unless you're like really like you talk to them. But you can tell because they'll be all over the place. Like their things they talk about and share are very, and then they never talk about it again. It's like, okay, is that something you actually stand by or is that something you're just doing to, you know? And you know what? I get in the beginning you're trying to figure it out. So whatever. I mean, I don't really pay attention that closely to it anymore, but you really do have to be able to figure out if that's something you're wanting to do and accept all the little deals and big deals and whatever that come your way, or if you're wanting to kind of be a little bit more, what's the word? Picky? I don't know if the
Yeah,
word's
I get
picky. It's like
well,
more
the brands that feel
specific.
like the right fit for you versus just saying
Yeah,
yes to everything.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
interrupted you though. You were saying you feel like a lot of people aren't pitching enough, and then I got
Oh yeah, yeah.
sidetracked.
I was thinking that 1, 2, 3 pitches a day for brands, and it wasn't that like no. Someone posted they pitch like 120 a week. And I'm like, what? And it's like, and my husband, he's in sales. He was telling me, he's like, yeah, it's about numbers. You have to keep going. And then you were telling me, yes, you have to keep like rolling them in and figuring out what and tailoring your pitches and changing them up. And I was just like, holy moly. Like, and a lot of people who aren't in the influencing world think that these brands reach out to you. No, you have to do the work. You have to find, some of them do, but all of the brand deals I've gotten, actually that's not true. 50% of the brand deals I've
Yeah, I was
gotten
gonna
have
say
been reached out
50-50.
about to me. Yeah,
Yeah,
about
I'd say it's like
have
50-50.
I've reached out or they've reached out, about 50-50. So don't think that your income's gonna all of a sudden start streaming in as soon as you have a following. And even if you don't have a huge following, I've realized you can still make a decent living.
I went full time at 20K, which I feel like
Wow.
that is a big following, but like not
When you say you
anything
went full
like
time at 20K, for people who maybe not understand that, it sounds like you're saying $20,000. Do
oh
you mean
oh
like
oh
20?
20,000 followers. So like
I live
20,000
off of
follow
$20,000 a
no.
year. Wouldn't that be
No.
nice?
Yeah, right. I wish. But I went full time at 20,000 followers, which yeah, that is a good following, but still it's not like anything crazy. And I think that's what's so cool about the world is you can like even if you have 1,000 followers, if you want to do UGC, create UGC. You don't need a following for that. You need to show that you create the kind of videos that they want. There's so many different ways to do it, and I think that's something too if you're
I just
looking
did my
into
first UGC video today.
that's so exciting. How'd it go?
I was so scared. Which is funny because it's like you don't post it. I don't know why I was so nervous.
No,
I
I
was like,
get
oh my
that
gosh.
though. I get
And I've
that.
worked with them before too. So I'm like, they're so chill. But I was like,
I know. I feel like when you turn stuff in, you're like, I hope they love it because I put so much work into it. And, you come up with the
yeah.
whole storyline and what you want it to look like and all the details. And it definitely, you're putting a lot of work into it.
It's true. UGC is confusing too. Like if you don't from an outside perspective, so UGC is basically creating content for a company where they have the rights to do whatever they want with it. Like they can post it on their social media or they can post it on their website. I mean, you'll have that explained in the contract, but overall you don't have to post it on your social media. They can
They
take it
run
and
ads
do
with
whatever.
it.
And then you charge at like for them to use it as ads if you want, like monthly.
Yeah.
If you want. I recommend that.
Yeah, I definitely would not give rights away for free, but
Yeah,
that's a
no.
good way to make extra money and like monthly to get like, oh, for the next 3 months, I'm making this because I'm getting paid from this company for like ads and blah, 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 blah. There's so much to it, but that's a whole nother topic we can dive into for sure, like how that all works. I feel like there's so much we've learned by talking and, going back and forth and throwing ideas around and being like, hey, I'm doing this. What are you doing? Like, you know, being able to talk to people is huge in this world and being able to be open and not feel like, oh, I'm going to be judged because I'm doing it a different way than someone else. Everybody's doing it different. Everybody charges a little different. Like that is part of the world and you will
Yeah.
definitely learn that as you're in it.